Have you thought much about the three buckets to withdraw from in retirement? Well, today I'm going to be talking about these three buckets and how to take from each one of these tax efficiently in retirement. Specifically, I'll be talking about our approach and the two different methods of the traditional retirement or withdrawal strategy and the proportional withdrawal strategy. Everyone, I'm Justin Ancona with Legacy Wealth, and our goal is to guide and educate families to steward their wealth for generations. Now let's get into it. Okay, so I first want to define these three different tax buckets that we're taking from or that we have. So the first one, we'll call it the tax now. This bucket is also called a taxable account. We're using after-tax money with tax growth. So this is oftentimes money that's come into your checking account or your savings account, and you might decide to put it into a CD, or you might open up a brokerage account and put it into stocks or mutual funds. Whatever you've put into this account, you've already paid tax on. You're not going to pay tax again. But the growth on what you've put in, you will pay capital gains tax on that growth. Or you could pay dividends or income tax on that, which would be taxed at ordinary income rates. So that's the first bucket. We call that the taxable or the tax now bucket. The second bucket is the tax deferred. So this oftentimes is going to be your 401k, your IRA, could be a 403b. Anything that you put into this account, you're putting in pre-tax. So you're not going to pay tax up front, and then all the growth is going to be tax deferred. Now when you take it out, that money is going to get taxed. So you put it in tax-free, grows tax deferred, and then you pull it out and you're paying tax upon withdrawal. So that's that second bucket here. The third bucket is the tax-free in retirement, and that is usually used as Roth accounts, so Roth IRAs or Roth 401ks. Now the money that you put into this account, you pay tax up front. You've already paid tax on it, and when you put it in, it grows tax-free, and when you pull it out tax-free. And so this is a really beneficial account because you know once you're pulling this out, you know the amount you're getting. You're not going to be paying tax depending on where different tax rates are, depending on where you're at in retirement, but you know what you've put in and what it grows to. That's what you're actually going to receive. You're not going to pay tax on that again. So these are the three buckets. Just want to define these first before we get into the withdrawal strategy here. Okay, so here is the traditional withdrawal strategy. So you see we've got these three buckets I just was explaining to you: the taxable, the tax deferred, and the Roth. The traditional strategy is to take from the taxable account first and really let the tax deferred and the Roth continue to grow tax-free, taking from the taxable account. Now when you do this, you do want to be careful to allow the investments to be in here for a year longer so you're not paying higher capital gains. And you also want to do tax loss harvesting. So if that's something that you're not doing, that could be something to be more tax efficient with that taxable account. Now, the tax deferred, this is something that as we look at this traditional withdrawal strategy, we want to evaluate where you're at in retirement. And so that's when we get into this proportional withdrawal strategy where we start to look at, does it make sense to spend some of this before we completely deplete this taxable account here? And so I'll pull over here this proportional withdrawal strategy that we can look at and talk a little bit more who this might be suitable specifically for in retirement. So this is that proportional withdrawal strategy where taking not just from one bucket at a time and completely spending it down, but we're taking from more than one and doing it in a complementary way. And so to explain when you would use this and why you would use this, for one, the tax deferred, the more that grows tax deferred, the bigger that pot or that bucket becomes, and you're going to have to eventually take from it when you reach age 7, currently it's 73 for the retired or required minimum distributions. And so at some point you're going to have to take from that. And also if that's a bucket that doesn't get spent down, that's money that's going to be passing to your heirs, and that money potentially could be going to them when they're in their peak earning years, and they're going to have to deplete that account within 10 years. And so that could potentially be a big tax burden to pass on Whereas these taxable assets, the growth that you have on that, when you pass away, it's going to get a step up in cost basis. So your heirs are not going to pay tax on that growth when they receive that. So that's one reason. Another reason, and this is often what we're looking at for clients that are retired, oftentimes before they reach Social Security age, we're looking to be as tax efficient as we can. And so to illustrate this, I'll bring over this chart of the tax brackets and kind of explain what I mean by this. So this is a look at the different tax brackets. And one thing we'll do for our clients is we'll look at, hey, based on where your current income is expected to be, we want to really maximize these lower tax brackets. So specifically, we can look at, this 10 to 12% tax rate here. And what you'll see here is you can have up to $94,000 in income and only be taxed at this 12% rate. And so if we're only taking from the taxable account, that traditional withdrawal strategy, we take from there first, we may not be fully utilizing this $94,000 in that 12% bracket. So what we're able to do, since at age 73, you're going to be required to take from your tax deferred accounts, what we'll look to do is we'll look to take a blend of the tax deferred up until that 94,000, or if you want to keep it in the 10%, you could do up to the 23. But for a lot of retirees that are, early 60s, 63, even 65, before they've reached that age where they're collecting Social Security, they might not have a lot of income if they don't have a pension or other reliable sources that they have coming in. So this is a great opportunity to say, hey, in these years before Social Security kicks in, we can maximize these 10 to 12% tax brackets so that we're spending down that tax deferred account, and then maybe 5 to 10 years later, we're going to be required to take from there anyway. And so this is a great opportunity to do a blend of these two. So if we come back to these buckets here, rather than doing it sequentially, we can take from these together and really make sure that we're being efficient from the different buckets that we're taking from. Now you may have noticed I haven't touched on the Roth bucket yet. And this Roth bucket, you see in both strategies, we have the Roth bucket last. We typically recommend, as much as we can, withdrawing from the Roth last because we're really getting that tax-free growth and then the tax-free withdrawal. And so this is a great account to allow to continue to grow. Number one, because as you get further along in retirement, this can be a great account to take from, near the end of retirement. But I'd say the main reason or big reason is because of this account being passed on to your heirs, and they're not going to pay any tax on it at that time. So again, they might be in their peak earning years, and rather than receiving a big portion from a tax-deferred IRA that they have to withdraw from within 10 years, and this could be a large amount that they're owing tax on, this Roth account is going to go to them and they'll never have to pay tax on it. They will still have to take out from it, but not having to pay tax, that can be really beneficial to your heirs. Taking withdrawals efficiently from these 3 different tax buckets can really make a difference over the long term. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button as it does help us out, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks always for watching, and we'll catch you in our next video.